Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. So for the authentication, we are using Google. You can see the sign in with Google button here. The views are protected. This is the home screen. So you can see this if you're not logged in, but if you tried to go to the appointments tab, it would redirect you to Google. It does the same for the Teams as well, the users one. But then if you sign in, and you can sign in with the Google account. Um, all right. It says I'm signed in with that Google account, and I can now go to the appointments tab. I can see all my appointments. I could create one if I wanted to. Same with Teams. And then, of course, signing out just takes you back to this one here. So that's the basics of the authentication. The views are protected with the controllers using the authorize attribute. Um, just a simple Google system.
Okay. And then I'll show our teams here. So you can click here. Here's an example we made earlier. I'll create a new one really fast. Just call it example team, whatever. And then that'll create it. And then you can add the users. I'm the admin, of course, so I can add a couple people to it. And then they're added to that, and you can change the name, etc. And that's kind of about it. They're they're added, and then it'll get added automatically to the appointments when we show that next.
Yes. All right. Just as a little bit of a context, we use fullcalendar.io. It's just a JavaScript library to render this dynamic, iterative calendar. So I'm just gonna create an appointment to demonstrate how it works. And you can click on each open date of the calendar, and it will pre-fill the form with the date. So I just click on April 2nd. So I'm just gonna do meeting and meeting description. And then we also have data validation in our form. So for example, if I were to play around with the dates, I think you cannot end the meeting before it started. So if I were to do AM, sorry, I'm trying to, let's do 2 a.m., 1 a.m. And the end time must be after the start time. So that's how one of our validation data works. But let's just actually do 3 p.m. Yeah. And then you can select what status of the appointment you're creating. If eventually will be canceled, you can also edit that later on. And then you can select the teams, any team, and then you can just save it and it will show up in your appointment list. And if we go back to the home screen, it's gonna appear in the calendar. But yeah, and just going over very briefly about the UI of the app, we just kept it very minimal, just because the appointments they are displayed in this card style and they're just colorful. So every time you add a new appointment, it will change colors. So change colors of this little section right here of how many appointments you have today. So if I were to add one more here, it's gonna display here in the home screen. But yeah, that's just how you create an appointment.
Awesome. Okay. So the last little bit that we kind of want to go over is how we accomplished testing within this project. So what we've done, and I'm showing my VS Code view here because this is all server-side stuff within the project. So we created a folder specifically for testing, and under here we have unit tests. So we created several separate files for tests specifically for each of the controllers within the project for the logic of testing the logic of how everything works. So like if you see here, we've got like the team members controller and then the team members controller tests. Just used ASP.NET Core components and something called Entity Framework, which is a data mapping model that allows you to map stuff within the database. So basically just like spoofed data through the testing to just test the routes and things without having to actually input real data. So if I go down to my terminal here and I run .NET test, this command test is written into our JSON file here to run everything in this folder. So you can see here it's running everything in the folder. We do see a few errors. That lets us know stuff to work on for later if we ever need to. But theoretically, that allows us to test the routes without having to go through physically and like inputting data and things on the actual UI of the project. But yeah, that is testing.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you for watching.